Hello and welcome to another Black Crow video. I am Sam. I'm Black Crow's resident melee expert, all things World Eaters and any other melee focused armies. But today I'm here to talk about World Eaters. Specifically, I'm going to talk about the Berzerker Warband Detachment. Now, at the moment, I mean, the codex has come out, and we've had quite a bit of time to sort of settle. And I think we're all seeing in the meta that Berserker Warband seems to be doing the best, in my opinion. Like, I think it's the easiest way to get the most out of your World Eaters. I think it fits the playstyle the most. It's the least like uh, of the good detachments that I think that are playable at the high standard. I think it's the simplest one to just pick up and put on the table. It's the most forgiving one for mistakes. I think Corn Demonkin is really, really good, but you have to play that like perfectly and catch out your opponent in multiple ways, and it makes it a very hard game to play into good players. So yeah, today's focus is all about the Berserker Warband, and it is my favorite detachment at the moment to play, and I do think it gives us the most potential to go and win those events. So I've got. We're going to talk little bit about the detachment first. I know that most people watching this will probably be familiar, and then we will go into a bunch of lists. So a couple of lists of mine, and then a couple of lists that I've seen doing well at events. Hopefully, should have correctly credited people's names. So yeah, let's start off with the detachment information. Although, actually, first we've got some sponsors that we need to talk about. I'm sorry, I have to talk about them, but at least they're fantastic, so it makes life easier. So we got Terrain Forge. That's our if you want to get your terrain, whether it's WTC or UKTC or GW or custom formats. They've got everything you could possibly want. We have a code BCG5 for 5% off. We've got Glasshammer, fantastic shop for all of your nerdy needs. They have a really, really good discount system where if you pay a subscription of Glasshammer Elite, you get an extra 10% discount on top of their 10% on everything, which means you've got 20% on all GW products, 10% extra on any other products they sell, including tickets and things like that. And then with with code Black Crow, get another 5% off on top of that. So that's like 25% off everything. GW is fantastic. And then Trident, you want to get your army safely to events in a very like good way. It's also they look amazing. They work really, really well. Trident, go check that out. The links are in the description. All right. Thanks for sitting through that. And now onto the source. So the detachment rule, we have +2 strength and +1 attack on the charge. I didn't write that on there, but let's be honest, we all know what it is. On the charge, and then we've got 6 stratagems. Now, when we look at detachments, I don't know about everybody else, but the way I look at it, like first I look at the detachment rule and go, is that something that is useful? Is that going to help me win the game? And immediately, yes, that's the amazing detachment rule. It's very similar to the index one, just slightly better. Obviously with some built-in nerfs in some other places. Yes, I'm looking at you, strength 4 berserkers, but it's a very nice detachment rule. It really does help. There are some like the Slaughterbound one, the something Slaughterbound, possessed Slaughterbound, that is like, it doesn't really do anything. This one does something. It will impact the game, so it's a good start. That's check one, right? Then the next thing is to look at the stratagems. So there's many different ways we can assess stratagems. So you've got your I'm going to use this every turn. You've got the this is situationally good, and you've got the this is crap. So you kind of want a mix of like situationally useful and like I want to use this every turn stratagems, because obviously you're limited by how many CP you have and free strats and everything like that. You don't want them all to be I want to use these every turn, because then you're going to have situations where you're just never going to be able to do that. So there's always going to be I'm going to just be using these 2 every turn, and these other 4 are useless because I'm using those 2 every turn. So in here, I mean, I put them in the order that I remembered them, which might actually say a bit about what they do. but you've got a good amount of like, I love this strat, I'm going to use it a lot, or threaten with it a lot at least, because that stick on death, oh my god, that makes this army so much better because it forces your opponent to come and stand on objectives. Because if they don't, you just sticky it, and then you keep scoring, and they and you don't then need to commit any more units to that until they commit to it. So it's just a fantastic thing of just by having that stratagem and having that one CP means that you probably won't ever have to spend that one CP, and it forces your opponent to play suboptimally, put their units on objectives to stop you scoring, which then lets you, leap onto them and murder them, which is what we want to do. So stick on death like massively helps the way we play the game. Without that strat, it makes the whole thing a lot harder to do. Part of why the Khorne Demon King detachment is also quite good is because it doesn't have stick on death, but it has bloodletter on death, so almost the same. Not quite, but it has its uses. So stick on death is fantastically useful. It is that sort of thing where it comes from the power of the fact you don't have to spend it. Like yeah, you can in other attachments stick when you kill stuff, but like sticking on death is like, oh, if I need it, if I'm using it, I'm scoring points. If I'm not using it, my opponent's having to react to it. Or stop me from using it. So it's just so useful. It's the sort of thing where it's like I might play like multiple games and never use it, but just the fact that I had it meant that I had a much nicer game, much more favorable game for me. Then we got Advance and Charge Berserkers. This is one of those like, you don't have to do it every turn. You're not gonna do it every turn, but like, oh boy, is it useful to have. And it just the fact that it exists once again forces your opponent to think about threat ranges. You can do crazy distance charges with the fact that berserkers are now move 8, potentially 10 if you're running the Juglord with them. It just gives that threat range significantly more threat. So you can apply more pressure with your potential threat range, which is fantastic. And it just lets you connect a lot easier. Like, oh, I'm like a 10-inch away after my move. It's like, well, 10 inches on 3d6 isn't so much more likely than 10 inches on 2d6. Sadly, you do have to call your shot. You have to say that I'm going to advance and charge with the berserkers before you roll it. But yeah, it's a fantastic stratagem. -1 damage in the fight phase. This just helps us into these melee mirrors. If you run into a world eater melee mirror and they're not running this detachment and don't have the -1 damage, they're going to struggle a lot more into you than when you're going to have to play in a way that you're generating that CP and just sort of holding it for that like -1 damage and interrupt. So you're going to want in melee mirrors to have like 4 or 5 CP when you're actually going into these like fight turns. And it's really, really important that you do that because in melee mirrors, I find there's a lot of shenanigans that can be done and a lot of like advantages and disadvantages that can be gained. But at the end of the day, it's usually the player with the most CP that comes out on top, especially when you're talking about like similar armies, like literally like world eater mirrors. So yeah, huge strat that will literally just win you games. So yeah, the extra blessing on monster vehicle or character kill. This was our like let's fish for Angron. It was really useful like that before, especially since we rare that we would have like these damage buffs. This is a lot more situational. I have used it. It is a rare occurrence. I've used it when I've like had to. I've like because I'm going second or something like that. I've threatened my opponent with like reroll charges and pile in 6, so it sort of be like, okay, I've got my maximum threat ranges here. But and then actually like they've come forward and with like multiple vehicles and I'm like, okay, I need to try and chew through these or monsters as well, and it's like, so I kill the first one, give lethal hits for killing the next ones and things like that. So there is some useful things there, especially if you fluff like trying to get lethal hits when you're going into a bunch of vehicles. Having that extra attempt to get it is really, really useful. But yeah, it's one of those, it's a very nice situational strat. It's not a I'm going to be using this all the time strat, which, as I was saying, you want that balance, right? You've got so far we've got two that are using a lot of the time, not necessarily every turn, but at least be threatening to use a lot of the time. We always want to be able to potentially use that advance and charge, potentially use that stick on death. And then we've got the -1 damage, which is like we're in the thick of it and when it really matters, that comes out. And then the extra blessing is like, okay, I just need that little bit of extra. I don't have sustained hits. I don't feel confident killing this thing, but I do need to kill it. Let me just get that extra blessing first. But uh, the CP usage is going to be, that's only if you've got extra CP, because usually -1 AP is going to be better. So I've had it where it's like, I'm going to use -1 AP, but I also want that extra blessing for maybe other fights as well. But that key one is going to get this +1 AP. So the +1 AP is another one of those ones which we're going to be using often. The only time I would consider not using it is like, okay, this thing is definitely dead, or the extra AP will not benefit me, like I'm already hitting an invuln save, or they don't have an armor save, or whatever. That +1 AP is going to be spammed. You are going to use it a lot. It's just so useful. I mean, moving spawn from AP1 to 2 is a big deal. Same with all the Berzerker attacks. We have a lot of AP1. And getting that extra AP is just so good. I feel like I'm using this stratagem like most fight phases. So yeah, and then another situational one that is, once again, you threaten it, which means that your opponent has to play around it, which means that then you don't need to spend the CP. So it's sort of like this perfect storm of like, okay, you have to come near me to remove me off this objective, otherwise I'm going to stick it on death. But if you come near me and shoot berserkers, I'm just going, if you're about 6 to 8 inches away, to 9 inches away, I will just pop this one CP to auto do it. If you're closer than that, I'll probably just roll it and get in anyway. So it's really like, these stratagems are really making it tough to play against, which is what we want. We have our ways of increasing our damage, increasing our threat ranges, and then just utility of, I'm going to win this game because you have to play around these things. And if you don't, I'm going to win the game that way. So it's I kind of started the thought when I started talking about the strats, but when we're looking at detachment, it's like, all right, detachment rule, useful, good. Strats, okay, no one's ever really looking at a suite of strats and expecting all 6 to be like really good and useful. This has that. It's so rare to have. I mean, even like our index detachment, I thought was a great detachment and one of the better detachments that you could have. And it it only had 5, right? So I mean, I would challenge people to remember what all 6 stratagems are on the index, but the one that you'll forget is the one that causes people battle shock. Like, did anyone ever use that strat? Probably not. I mean, it was just, yeah. Like, and the rest of the strats were so good as well. But this has 6 fantastic stratagems that you'll have to tell your opponent about at the start of the game. There isn't like, oh, it's these 5. Don't worry about that 6th one. I'm never going to use it. It's here are my 6 stratagems. They are all relevant to every turn of this game. So it's just brilliant. Okay, so that's my sort of like dive into talking about the detachment and I almost like simping for this detachment because I do really like it. Now I'm going to talk about a couple of lists. So this is my first list. This is the one that I won the GT with. That there is a video on the same channel. If you've not checked out that video, please go check it out. I'm very proud of the run that I did. It was quite a dominant performance in most of the games, which was really nice, with some really tight games as well. So please go check that out. I go into a deep dive of how I use this list, why I chose what I did in the different aspects of like the list building and how I was deploying stuff. So if you want a deeper dive into this list, there's a video there for that. And like I say, I won the GT, which is fantastic. I don't know if we had another GT winner yet with the Codex as time of filming this. I haven't kept complete track, but as far as I'm aware, we haven't won another one. So technically, this might be the only list that's won a GT on this thing. But Berzerker Warband is flexible. Berzerker Warband has multiple different ways you can build your flavor, your thing. I don't think this list is the best possible list. I'm already thinking about changing it. The changes that I would consider making in here, I'm thinking of removing Invocatus because he ran solo most of the time. I liked having him in the list originally to be that like emergency, put him with the 20 Berserker unit and rapid ingress them or deep strike them and just try and bang a 9-inch charge or something crazy if I'm really really desperate with a reroll. But yeah, so it was. He was there as like a I'm not confident, and now I'm a bit more confident. I'm hope this list still struggles running into a bunch of indirect that's damage to. But yeah, this is the potential change would be like Invocatus comes out and another unit of Spawn come in, and I change one of the Jackal units up to Goremongers, and it ends up with a few points left over. So that's why I'm like, I don't know, some tweaking that maybe needs doing. I'm sure there's something that could probably work there, but um, I really, really enjoyed using this list. I think it's a very strong list. You'll notice throughout pretty much all the lists I'm going to show you, there's some strong trends. We'll look at that. But everyone has their own little flavor of it, and all the lists I'm going to talk through have performed incredibly well. In events I've seen. So yeah, so then the second list that am playing and messing around with at the moment, which is the sort of I refer to it I think on my app as the balanced warband list. So this one you'll see is slightly different. It's got 2 slaughter bounds, one with favored, one with glaive, 10 berserkers with the rhino with Khan. Then we've got 10 jackals, 8 goremongers, 2 units of spawn, 3 units of 8 bound, 3 exalted 8 bound, and 2 forge fiends. So uh, this is a little bit more like leaning into Ain't Bound, and the Forge Fiends are fantastic. And I think this. Oh, just to clarify, this is also the same list that Brian took to Dallas and came third and did incredibly well. His run was really really tough, and he played some very very talented people and beat them. And his only losses were the people that came first and second because of the weird way that Dallas was bracketed. So absolutely fantastic. Like this, I mean, I don't think this list is particularly out there. I think a lot of people will have written this exact list. It works out as exactly 2,000 points, unless I've done a typo when I've copied it over, which I'm sorry if I have. It's happened before. But yeah, this is, I think it's just a very standard, strong list. You have like the favored with some 8 bound, and the glaive probably goes with the exalted 8 bound in deep strike, just so they can just connect with anything that you want to from rapid ingress. Khan and 10 berserkers and a rhino are just really, really efficient. You've got your spawn for your action pieces. You've got goremongers to sort of help control that mid board and threaten stuff with the spawn. There's a lot to be desired here. I really do like this list. It feels the most balanced, like the least skewy list, like the most like take all comers sort of list. It has like the fewest really bad matchups, but also the fewest really good matchups out of all the lists I think that I've got on here. So yeah, it's a I think this is if you're just getting into World Eaters and you just want to copy a list from online, I think this is the way to go. Like if you've not got I really want to use loads of berserkers, or I really want to like skew into this way, or my meta is a particular type of army and I really need to like skew for that. I think this is just a really really good starting point to just get your feet on the ground and like get some practice in, and then start to go, finding I'm not really enjoying this, or I want more of that, and things. I don't think you need 3 Forge Fiends. I think the 2 is fine. It gives you that bit of shooting support, but doesn't like take too much of your army away from that melee pressure. So yeah, this is I think a good, really, really good like starting point to like find your niche afterwards, because I think that is also one of the things I want to highlight from looking at all these lists that I'm about to go through is they're all similar-ish. And there is some things that are literally the same in every single one, or at least in most of them. But everyone's got their own little like oh, I really like this unit, I really like that unit. I haven't gone and grabbed every single list. I've only got 5 lists on here that I'm going to talk about. This is the second one. So the but when I do look at lists, there's still always like, oh, that guy's got a random unit of Terminators in there, or other things. So like it is, here's the base, find your preferred flavor. There's no wrong answers, there's just different answers. Everything will have a slightly better and worse matchup into other things. There's no objectively worse army that I'm seeing. It's just sort of play styles. So yeah, I think that's really interesting. So then we're looking at list number 3. If I spot his name right, that's gonna really annoy me if his name's wrong on there. But yeah, so Brian's this is his newer list. So I think this is the list that he took to another super major. So he's played in 2 super majors with the Codex, and he's, I think, podiumed both of them. Like, Brian rightfully won the ITC Best World Eater last season, and he's on track to win it again this season. He's an incredibly good player. Go check him out over at the Red Path. Like, seriously, fantastic guy. Really helpful, really good at talking about the game as well as playing the game. So definitely check out his content. So this is a little bit different, and I've not seen it on the table. But once again, like I'm talking about, like the flavor, like this doesn't have as much. It has the 2 units of Berserkers, but only 1 Rhino. So it has the ability to sort of eat out Khan's unit from the Rhino, go and start destroying stuff, and then you can help like stage the Master Executions unit into the Rhino to then continue down another like way. The Rhino can then leap off a different direction. But also with the favored on the Master Executions, it does sort of lean on not putting him in the Rhino a lot of the time. So that is sort of a balancing thing of like, do you want favored in the Rhino? Do you want him? Do you want it not in the? Do you want it on the table? So that's why I know that and Brian has talked to me a little bit about this list. But the favored Master Executions is going to start on the table. And that favored does make you a bit more consistent. I forgot to point that out that was one of the differences between like the previous list and my first list was the favored. It does just add that consistency to your blessings. You're not going to have that turn, or it's much less likely that you're going to have that turn where you just roll a triple 1 and are sad because all you get is 1 blessing. Like, oh, okay. And I think that 1 blessing is only a choice of 3 or 4 of them. If that, I'm not even sure if you can do the pile and consolidate 6 if it has a triple condition. So yeah, triple 1 sad. But yeah, so this list I think is solid, consistent. It's a slight variation on my one previous to it. So like we're talking about like there's no slaughterbound. There's 1 less slaughterbound. So you've got the MOE instead. You've got more berserkers, but you've got less utility units. You've not got those goremongers. You've got 1 less 8-bound unit. So it's, I mean, I think this list uses some of the stratagems better because you've got a couple that are reliant on berserkers, which in my previous list, you've only got the 1 unit with Khan. I think, this unit with Master Executions is really good, and like him potentially generating CP could be really, really useful as well. I mean, the Master Execution still slaps. He's now cheap as well. Not having it's interesting the way around for the glaive, but also I wouldn't change this. Like the glaive on the slaughter bound is insanely good, getting up to 11 attacks at strength 10, AP2, 3 damage with dev wounds. Oh boy. And even when he's not on his go turn, it's still 8 attacks at that, right? When he charges. So he's still hitting harder than a Master Execution did. Yeah, he doesn't have like the full rerolls situation or the precision automatically. But if you need the precision, you can always do the 1 CP precision. And he's faster. So it does help him connect a bit better and can potentially rapid ingress from a deep strike. So yeah, this is I think this is the list that Brian took to the most recent super major and came second. So that's really, really impressive. I'm sure he's probably doing or done a video about it. So, like I say, do go check out the Red Path channel. Um, they're kind enough to let me share my videos in their Discord. So, they're really good lads and some really, really talented people. So, yeah, that's Brian's list. Uh, Once again, we're looking at that Helm DP and Khan just starting off the list. You've got, the usual. There's a lot of similarities between some lists, right? Just the slight different flavors. So we've got another different flavor. So this is, I mean, uh, I'm gonna try and pronounce his surname, but I'm sorry if I've gotten this wrong. Mikey Rzasa. Um, he be he went 5-0 at the UKTC Bristol Super Major, which is fantastic result. That is he made it into the top cut and then unfortunately lost in the top cut. But that is quite an impressive run. UKTC is not easy. This was a 400 person event with some of the top players in the world there. So well done to Mikey on that. And here for your Mauler Fiend fans. There's a Mauler Fiend, right? This has not been seen on any of the other lists. I've not written a list with Mauler Fiends in. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Mauler Fiends, but I am a fan of seeing something different. So I was like, wow, you did fantastic result. I need to talk about this list. So once again, Helm Demon Prince, Khan the Betrayer, 10 Berserkers, Rhino. Then we've got Jackals, we've got Spawn, we've got Ain't Bound, we've got Exalted Ain't Bound, we've got 2 Forge Fiends, and we've got Mauler Fiends. So absolutely fantastic. Just I've just realized I just want to double check that I've not made a mistake with this list. Now I'm like, did it have the Exalted Ain't Bound? Yeah. So yeah, 3 Ain't Bound, Exalted Ain't Bound, 2 Forge Fiend, Double Jackals, and Mauler Fiend. Actually, I'm curious. Mauler Fiend, did it? Yes, it has the magma cutters. That's the way. Um, so yeah, this is the less character heavy version, right? Like you've only got the 2 characters. They are the best 2 characters you could possibly have. Sorry, Angron. It's really, really good. I assume I wonder how he played the Mauler Fiend, especially on UKTC, because it's not easy to sort of set it up in a safe spot and get it to be able to connect with the enemy. I wonder if this was rapid ingress, same. So maybe turn 2 rapid ingress, like the Exalted Ain't Bound, and then turn 3 the Mauler Fiend. I'm not sure. I'd be interested to see, Mikey, if you're watching that, please let us know in the comments. That would be amazing. I don't know if you have ever checked out my content or not. But hopefully you do see this, and fantastic run. So yeah, really interesting. Just sort of that classic sort of utility base. You've got those Forge Fiends to help remove screens or scare heavy infantry into hiding into cover and other things like that, and maybe potentially getting rid of some Overwatch threats that scare us. Um, so really, really interesting list to see the Mauler Fiend in there. And the less characters, no Slaughterbound. I wonder how much the lack of Slaughterbound is due to the fact that it's hard to get the model. Not everyone wants to convert up their own Slaughterbound. I personally have borrowed one off a friend because I don't have one at the moment. So yeah, it's interesting. I wonder how much that has impacted this, whether he would take, what his takeaways were from the event and what he would change in the list, if anything. I mean, going 5-0 is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it sort of situation. So, interesting, different list. Then this last one. So, hop over to this is a Anthony Vanella, violence Vanilla list. I mean, he's famous in the World Eaters community. And he played a scrim with this list for teams. So take everything with a pinch of salt, but I thought a lot of people would appreciate this list. Now I'm starting to question, does it even have another Mauler Fiend? Did I remember that that's got the Mauler Fiend in, or did I? Sorry, when I made this, uh, no, I've messed that up. That is a copy and paste error. It does not have a Mauler Fiend. So let me just correct that. I think that's just classic duplication from the thing. So the rest of this is correct, though. Just double checking. For Yeah, it does have the Goremongers. Okay, great. So um, this is a teams list. So always take that with a pinch of salt. Um, he's on Team USA. He quite often is sort of pairing princess, as in like they try. He's there to try and get the big points. Rare that he's sacrificial lambed into a bad matchup. So you've always got to look at the way he does in team events with a pinch of salt, because the more you're protected in pairings, the more you're sort of expected to get those high results. So yeah, like and he does that role fantastically well, and sometimes with world eaters, sometimes not. So this is clearly one of his sort of experimentations. This was in a scrim, so once again it could have just been a let me see how this goes sort of situation, but it's really interesting. And I thought, I haven't put any army lists on this in this video that include Hellbrutes, and I'm sure there's people that want to see them. So this is the only one that doesn't have a Demon Prince, but it still has Khan and Berserkers in a Rhino and 10 Jackals. So I feel like anyone writing a list at the moment should probably start with Khan, 10 Berserkers, Rhino, 10 Jackals, and then probably put 2 units of spawn in as well. Because I think most of these lists either have 2 or 3 units of spawn, if not all of them. I think it might be all of them, and then 2 or 3 units of 8-bound. 3 units of, well, 3 Hellbrutes and 3 Forge Fiends is really, really interesting. It is just I'm going to try and like pressure you. It's the sort of thing where if the opponent is not good at dealing with Hellbrutes or Forge Fiends, they are in trouble, right? This goes extremely well into uh, elite infantry like Custodes. Those Forge Fiends and Hellbrutes rip them apart. So do like 8-bound are good into it, Khan's good into it. It's just like it's a lot of like damage free potential. I mean, the 8-bound are a little bit disappointed on that, but other than that, it's like Hellbrutes can bounce through vehicle armies if they can connect. It's all about. Honestly, this is really interesting to me because I wish I had gotten to watch the game, but I didn't get to see this. I wasn't around when they actually had this match. But it's a really. I would have been really intrigued to see how he used the Hellbrutes, because the the Hellbrutes are there to like you're always like trying to get that like blissful moment of just, I mean, I refer to it as Beyblading into stuff. So you connect to one thing, then get into another thing, then you connect into another thing, and kill with one unit in one fight phase, like 3 or 4 of your enemy's units, and you're just like high on life at the time. But the problem is, I find that 90% of the time, probably even more than 90% of the time, you're not going to be able to get those connections. Or if you are getting those connections, you're probably going to win that game anyway. So it's it's a tough one. I think in teams it's really interesting because you can just potentially dodge any armies that are really good at removing Hellbrutes, and then go, okay, I'm just going to run 3 Hellbrutes at you, and if you can't kill all 3 of them immediately in like single activations, I'm just going to yeet into you and kill loads of stuff. Um, so yeah, I think it's a really, really interesting list, and I thought I have to put it in. I can't not talk about this list. It is the most different of all the lists we've talked about today, but it is also the only one that isn't a singles list. So all the other ones were taken to singles events, and done, and had a moderate amount of success. Whereas this one is just a let's go like scrim, team scrim. So it is a bit different. I wonder. I mean, we'll see at WTC if Anthony will even play World Eaters. Hopefully he does, because that'll be interesting for us to watch. But yeah, uh, I would be surprised if this ended up being his final list, and his list didn't look similar to some of these other lists that I've posted earlier, or a different kind of skew. I think Hellbrutes is, like I say, when you're playing against some of the top players in the world, I would be surprised to see Hellbrutes having lots of success. But you never know. Maybe the whole point is the Hellbrutes are 3 different distraction Khan effects that the opponent has to deal with. And while they're dealing with them, you run around with Khan and 8 bound and Forge Fiends. I don't know. It just feels like there's not enough other stuff if you are doing it as like that sort of strategy. But yeah, so I mean, here's the thing, right? Like main takeaways. I'm gonna go back to this screen. So the main takeaways from this is I think Berzerker Warband is the best attachment for Codex World Eaters. I think it is the most fun to use. I think it's the it gives you the most potential to go and win events in the current meta. I think it has lots of great tools to make it difficult for your opponent, easier for yourself. You know, a cheeky advance and charge with berserkers potentially could save you from a poor positioning from a berserker unit that's like a bit too far away from where the opponent is going to be or need to be for their maybe some like cards or something like that. So it can make the army a little bit more forgiving because it's got that extra speed. And just that extra damage across the board will just make those when you do connect like actually converting. So it's not just, oh, I've got into my enemy, oh, but then I bounced. It's like that bouncing is significantly less likely when using Berserker Warband, that extra 2 strength. I mean, effectively, your lists are going to have a lot of strength 10, a decent amount of damage free, which was one of the problems we had before, a decent amount of AP because of the +1 AP and Forge Fiends and things like that. So a lot of our problems previously are no longer our problems. One of the places that we're weaker is that high toughness. So maybe that's where stuff like the Mauler Fiends come in and potentially Hellbrutes. But anything sort of toughness 11 or 12, we have a much tougher time dealing with. But usually we can still get through and get by just weight of attacks and damage. So yeah, that's sort of my like thing at the end. If you still stuck around to this far into the video, thank you very much for watching. You know, please give me a like, a comment, subscribe to the channel, check out some of my other videos, some of Black Crow's other videos. Got some great series that's going on, and yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know what you would like to see in the future, and thank you for watching.